Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Conversations with Coco. I have a very interesting topic that I want to share with you all tonight that came to me and was born out of a Facebook post with a Facebook friend this week, based on something that I posted out of what I've been dealing with and going through my weight loss journey as part of what I'm sharing on this channel and on my page with you guys. That's just part of the journey that I'm sharing with you regarding my life in hopes that it will reach some people and it will help them get through or push forward with anything that they need, right? So, the topic is about being overweight versus being skinny and the kind of effect that each of those terms have on your health. So before I get started and get into the meat of what I want to discuss, I want to make a disclaimer. I'm going to read it, right? So I'm not a medical professional, I'm not a doctor or whatever, I'm not any of that. But what I am is a woman who's looking to share my experience along with information that I've researched. So you will be able to find links below this video to some of the websites that I use to research this information before I get into the portion of it that really more um, deeply discusses, some of my personal experiences and take on the matter when it comes to overweight versus skinny. So again, before I get into my part, let's go ahead and talk about some sort of actual factuals of things that I have found based on our research that, excuse me, my research that I did. So it doesn't just look like I'm speaking off of the top of my head and I don't know anything. I actually have a long healthcare background that is largely administrative, but that background has put me in touch with a lot of clinical people, including a background in clinical research. So there are lots of medical things that I know from being in and around the field and studying and working and doing things that are closely related to things that actually take place from the clinical perspective of things. So here's one. The first thing I did was out of that question, I wanted some photos to be able to share to make a post. And I did a search on IG and I put in the term skinny. And let me tell you, I was wowed because when I put in the term skinny as a search, here's what it said. I got a warning that says that searches like this are often harmful and lead to death. And it actually pulled up a pop up that asked me if I was the person that needed help, all from just innocently typing in the word skinny. Absolutely floored. So, we're not even talking about the word overweight, which we typically see has a stigma, and there are lots of ugly things coming out of that. But also the term skinny as well. It prompted me to say, do I need to call somebody? Do I need to talk to somebody? And again, I was even amazed at this. I had no idea that this was an issue, although we know cyberbullying and things of that nature, you know, is something that's very real on social media. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But we have to be aware of the search terms is the biggest thing I got out of it because there's certainly harmful things out there. But in terms of the two, that conversation with the Facebook friend bore out like this. Are you healthy if you're skinny? And are you unhealthy if you're overweight? And he and I had, I wouldn't say a disagreement, and I'm not entirely sure what he may have initially been looking to ask in his question on the post, but nonetheless, I didn't take it personally, but like I always do, I'm going to have my response because it's a post that I made, and I'm always open and, welcome to feedback that people may have on anything that I post, particularly on my IG page. Again, that's Convos with Coco, right? And so oftentimes we tend to think and assume that because a person is overweight, because they're obese, because they're fat, whatever you want to call it, right? Because all those terms are super subjective, including the one skinny. We tend to think overweight people are unhealthy. Pause. insert birds chirping here. And I've always disliked that people assume that. Of course, we know along with that could come some potential health issues, but that's not the case. When I look at myself, for example, I've always been a plus size girl. I've never had a health issue. Never, not once, aside from the fact that I've needed to lose weight over different periods of my life. Did people absolutely assume I was unhealthy? Of course they did. Much like a lot of people do when they look at a lot of other people. Are some overweight people unhealthy? Absolutely they are. But don't make the assumption that they are. With that being said, are skinny people healthy? Not necessarily. I know plenty of skinny people. Again, another very subjective term, skinny, thin, fit, whatever you want to call it. But in tonight's discussion, we're going to focus on the word skinny. I know a lot of skinny people who have way more health problems than I do. And to look at them, you would think that they were perfectly fine health-wise. It's the old adage, you can't judge a book by its cover. And, that always makes me feel some type of way, when you talk to people and they make the assumption. What our goal should always be is a very, very specific one. And I'm going to talk about that later because I want to get into the research that I took a look at. So let's talk about this. So diet and what you feed yourself is not just about what is physical when it comes to being overweight or skinny. But research has shown that impairments in memory and learning for anyone who consumes a diet that's high in fats and sugar is going to be a problem. They're definitely going to have impairments, and it's going to impair things like brain function. And it doesn't matter what your particular weight is. One of the research specifically, showed that if a quote unquote skinny person eats a diet that's high in fat and sugar for just 4 days, that it has a similar effect on their health as it does for a person who's overweight. Did you catch that? Did you really hear what I said? So diet has everything to do with how healthy you are or not. And let's not even talk about the genetic aspect of it with individuals as well. Okay, let's talk about another thing that came up in that research when I looked at it, talking about muscle mass versus fat mass. So you can be what I learned, there's a term out there that's called skinny fat. Didn't make any sense to me. So what that basically means is you're not overweight based on these BMI or body mass index calculations, which a lot of us are familiar with. But boo, if you have very little muscle, even if you're considered quote unquote skinny, you can actually carry the exact same health risk as a person who is overweight. Again, catch that. Catch it. You can carry the same risk because you don't have any underlying muscle in your body. You're just skinny or you're just thin for all intents and purposes when it comes to what the naked eye can see. That research also indicated that some people who are this term skinny fat carry a layer of fat internally that's not readily seen to the eye. And that fat is actually more dangerous in some cases than the external fat that you see when we look at a person that you consider overweight. So, all right, y'all really got to stop tripping on this. So let me carry on with the rest of the research. One of the things that a lot of us know, and just in case you don't, let me clue you in, the worst kind of weight that any of us can carry is weight around our midsection. That's the worst weight to be able to carry. And a lot of people you may see are extremely thin and they carry just that abdominal weight. Huge issue for people. So anything that you can do to reduce it is best for you long term, even if that's the only place that you have it, or if you need to do, have some weight loss for more healthier reasons in the totality of your body or in your whole body. So keep in mind that the trunk of your body is where all your organs are. So that's why it is like super dangerous, to use a word, if you will, to be carrying, a lot of fat tissue around your midsection, because the more pressure you're putting on your organs, because of the fact that you're carrying all that weight in your stomach, the more susceptible you are to, causing internal problems with the way your organs function, because you got a lot of stuff going on in such a small space in the trunk of your body where all your organs lie, that are feeding the rest of your body. They're feeding your arms, they're feeding your legs, it's feeding your brain. From head to toe, what's going on in the midsection of your body is feeding everything else. So you stifle anything there because of the extra weight, then it's going to cause a ton more problems than if you're carrying weight in other places. Say if you carry a lot of weight, like a lot of us women do, in your backside. You don't have any danger of having any problems if you're carrying a lot of weight in your backside, but that's a whole other problem or a whole other conversation, should I mention, when it comes to where our society and culture is in terms of cosmetic surgery and, the big hoopla that has carried on. So let's talk about a couple of examples that I covered to sort of give you some idea about some of the information that I just shared with you. So the Huffington Post I read, there was an article, and in there it discussed a man who was in his early 40s. He was a gym rat. He was very lean, but based on his diet, he had very, very high cholesterol. He had plaque in his arteries, and he was at risk for heart disease. Can you say stent candidate, boys and girls? And in case you don't know what that is, they place a guide. They cut a vein in your thigh. They place a guide in there, and they run metal up through the arteries in your leg to place it, to open it up, so that the blood can flow through that area, because it has been cut off by fat deposits that are in your bloodstream, because they could break loose, cause a clot, travel to your heart, and you can die. I'm just saying. So for all intents and purposes, this 40-year-old man was super healthy. He's a gym, probably had a six-pack, probably had, pecs, quads, all that kind of lovely stuff that we love to look at, and they, push on us in magazines. So what am I saying here, right? What am I saying? Let me put my notes down, because this is very, very interesting to me. So as my post went, my goal in my health journey is to be healthy. It is not to be a certain size. It is not to be the BMI that those charts tell me I need to be for my height, because I'm pretty tall for a woman, which is uncommon. My goal is not that at all. My goal is to be healthy, and my goal is to be a weight that's comfortable for me. Too many times we get caught up in the hype of it's okay to be overweight and we should love ourselves and care about ourselves, or we get caught up in the other side of the hype that you need to be skinny and you need to be this and that and you need to be this certain kind of shape. And so people do all of these body altering things to make themselves look like what mainstream media and magazines want to look at. No hate, no shade to those who want to do that. Do you, boo-boo. But that's not what I'm getting ready to do. The point is, you got to love yourself for yourself first. You got to find a healthy weight, a healthy food regimen, a healthy lifestyle that's going to allow you to live long as you can possibly live. And at the end of the day, you got to love you. If you don't love you, how you going to vibrate and bring people into your circle, in your sphere, who love you as you do if you don't? I'll wait. I love me at this weight, but the reality is I'm not comfortable at this weight. So I'm deciding to do something about it, which is what I did before. I lost the weight I wanted to lose. I put back on some of that weight. Now I want it off. I want to be comfortable for me first, because guess what? The more I accept me, the more other people will accept me and love me. Because guess what? At the end of the day, everybody ain't going to accept you and love you, even if you are their embodiment or what they envision as skinny and what they envision as being helpful or in shape or whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to say to y'all, conversations with Coco. I'm out here trying to do it. I'm out here trying to share my journey. And at the end of the day, when you see me go from this to something else, know that it's out of love for myself and care for myself first, and wanting to be healthy for the long term, for the long goal, for me to be happy, for me to live my life the way I want to, free and unapologetically, because I'm kind of already doing that. So power to the people, right? Do what it is that you need to do, because if you love you, the rest of the world and those who need to will love you too. So continue on this journey with me. Your girl has so many more topics in store outside of health and fitness. I'm also an Aspie mom, so that's part of the journey that I want to share with you guys as well, because some of us struggle with members of our family, whether they're close or not, who have children on various parts of the spectrum, and we all need encouragement and support so we can keep going. And part of that for me is the lifestyle and health journey, so I can be in the best mental, physical, and emotional shape to be able to support my Aspie child. So till next time, I'll see you guys when I see you, and hopefully that's in the comments. So please remember to like my Facebook page and subscribe to my YouTube page so that you can get notifications when I have new videos posted. As always, I appreciate you guys watching and rocking with your girl. Until next time, peace and enjoy the rest of your day.